Hi, welcome to today's video. Today, we're going to be talking about happy moments gone wrong. So, first, think about this. Do you remember any special moment in your life that went wrong? Think about this so we can share during class. Okay, now, we're going to listen to three people talk about moments that went wrong. This is in our student book, page 97, exercise 3A. Please number the topics that they talk about from 1 to 3. But be careful because there are 3 extra topics. Let's go ahead and listen.
Page 97. 3. Listening and speaking. Happy moments gone wrong. A. Listen to three people talk about moments that went wrong. Number the topics 1 through 3. There are 3 extra topics. 1. Jose.
Yeah, looking back, it was hilarious. There we were on stage, standing in line, waiting, and they're calling out our names one by one.
Right.
And then it was my friend Marcus's turn. He was right in front of me, and the dean stood there with the diploma, shaking his hand and congratulating him.
Uh-huh.
And he was so excited, to finally get his degree. And he turned around to face the audience, looking for his parents, but he couldn't see them. And I remember thinking, come on, Marcus, it's my turn. And he turns back around and walks right into the table. And all the diplomas went all over the floor.
Oh, no.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh, great. This is like my big moment, and you've messed it up.
So what happened?
I just stood there not knowing what to do. And everyone was on the floor trying to pick up the diplomas. It was a disaster.
2. Shohei.
So, we're in this little restaurant having a romantic dinner. And I kind of knew something was going to happen because my boyfriend had been acting kind of weird all day.
Yeah?
Yeah, and then the waiter came over, bringing a dessert with this sparkly thing. You know, like those little firework things going off. And I thought, it must be someone's birthday. But he put it on our table. And Freddie was looking around in his pockets, and he says, I have something to ask you.
Yeah?
Then his face sort of turned white, He couldn't find what he was looking for.
No.
Yeah. And by this time, the sparkly thing had burned out, and everyone's looking at us, waiting for something to happen. It was kind of embarrassing.
So what did he do?
He goes, just a minute, and disappears to find his coat. And he comes back totally red in the face, apologizing. He was so embarrassed. Poor thing. It was supposed to be like the happiest moment.
3. Katie.
We were just so excited, We hadn't been able to afford anything for ages, and we'd made all our reservations and everything, and finally, we were there.
Yeah?
And we opened the door and stood there, not believing what we saw. It was just awful. Old carpet and everything. And it didn't look too clean either.
Oh, I know how that feels.
Then, a cockroach ran across the floor, and I just screamed.
Oh, no. That's awful. So what did you do?
I just stood there, crying. I just wanted to get back on the plane and fly home.
I bet.
And I'm thinking, all that money. But my husband complained to the manager, and in the end, we just moved to another hotel. And it was way better. And it all turned out fine.
Thank goodness.
Okay, so number 1 was a graduation ceremony, number 2, a marriage proposal, and number 3, a dream vacation. Now, we're going to be reading the script for number 1. What do you think about this memory? Think about this so we can share during class. You can pause the video if you need to. Okay, now let's go ahead and continue. We're going to continue working with this memory. But now let's think about this. What is special in this text? There is a structure repeated constantly during the text, but which is it? Please pause the video while you think about this and then come back. Okay, so if you notice in the text, we have a lot of words that have an ing form. We have looking back, standing, waiting, shaking, congratulating, looking for, thinking, not knowing, and trying. Did you have the same? Great. Now, if you also chose, for example, they are calling, I didn't choose it because that is present continuous, right? If you notice, these words do not have verb to be before them, so they are not a continuous form. Let's take a look at them. Today we're talking about ing forms, and we can use ing forms in many different ways in English. These are three. We can use them to reduce a relative clause. We can use them also to describe an event that happens at the same time as other event, or a series of events as well. And an ing form can be the subject or the object of a verb. So let's take a look at this. First, we can reduce a relative clause. Look at this sentence. There were some people who were standing in line. In this case, I want to reduce it. Therefore, I'm going to just eliminate the relative pronoun, in this case, who, and my verb to be. And I'm just going to write, there were some people standing in line. Now, let's go ahead and continue. We can also describe an event or a series of events happening at the same time as other events. For example, and the dean stood there with the diploma, shaking his hand and congratulating him. If you notice, shaking and congratulating are happening at the same time as the dean standing there. Now, remember that an ing form can be the subject or the object of a verb. Let's take a look at this. Looking back, it was hilarious. In this case, looking back is what I am talking about. So it is the subject of the verb or of the sentence. Look at the next sentence. And I remember thinking, come on, Marcus, it's my turn. If you notice here, thinking is what I am referring to. My main action is remember. That is the action I am doing. But what do I remember? In this case, thinking. So it is the object. Now, let's go ahead and continue. Let's look at these sentences and think about if they are correct or not. Pause the video while you work on this. Okay, great. Let's go ahead and check. The girl jumping the rope is my cousin. In this case, this sentence is correct. If you notice, it is a reduced relative clause. I've got many reports penned. In this case, it is incorrect. He would do his homework listening to music and eating pizza. This is correct. It's a series of events happening at the same time. My happiest memory is travel by myself for the first time. This one is incorrect. Now, for your homework, you need to correct the two sentences here, and we're going to check during class. Now let's continue. Let's go to workbook page 68, exercise A. Here, we need to analyze, is the ing form in each sentence a reduced relative clause, or RC, an event that happens at the same time, ST, or the subject, S, or object, O, of a verb? Please write the correct initials next to the sentences. So let's take a look at the first one. I enjoyed my time in high school, studying lots of different subjects. Is this a reduced relative clause? Events happening at the same time, subject or object? If you notice, studying lots of different subjects is at the same time as being in high school. So we're going to write ST or the same time. Let's do number two together. I will never forget walking out of my last high school class. In this case, forget walking. Is this happening at the same time? No, right? Let's think about this. Is this a reduced relative clause, the subject, or the object of a verb? That's right, this is the object. Why? Because I will never forget, in this case, walking out of my last high school class. It could also be another action. Now pause the video and work on the other four, then come back to check. Okay, let's take a look at number three. I left that class with tears in my eyes. feeling sad that it was all over. In this case, these actions are happening at the same time, right? I was feeling sad and had tears in my eyes. 4. I have so many friends trying to find jobs with high salaries. This is a reduced relative clause. In a long sentence, it would be I have so many friends who are trying to find jobs with high salaries. Number 5. But my philosophy is that making a lot of money isn't everything. In this case, it is the subject. Why? Because making a lot of money isn't everything. That is the action I'm referring to. And number 6. Some of the people I know working in banks are miserable. This is a reduced relative clause. In the longer sentence, it would be some of the people I know who are working in banks are miserable. Did you have the same? Great. Now let's go ahead and continue. Now we're going to be working on exercise B. Here we need to use an ing form to rewrite the underlined part of each sentence in the anecdotes. For example, Michael says, probably my happiest moment was when I got my grades for my last year of college. We need to reduce when I got using an ing form. We should write getting. Now pause the video and work on the rest. Okay, guys? So this is what you should have: getting, watching, not daring, trembling, not believing, opening up, getting, bringing, living, drinking, eating, holding, fixing up, taking, going, walking, holding, trying, selling, pretending, eating, and looking for. Did you have the same? Great. Now, for your homework, you need to write sentences using the cues. For example, one of the happiest moments in my life was, or I think the happiest day in my life was. Remember to have this ready before class. We're going to share. Okay, guys, I will see you then. Bye bye.